Is it on?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
The question is this vodka or coffee in here? Because Sunday fun day. With the sunshine out. It's beautiful.
It is so nice.
I'm just kidding. It's only coffee.
But that's why we look like this, because we did have fun last night.
We did. We had a great time last night. And we have a guest today, a very special guest that we are super excited to have. Kate, would you like...
This is Erin. Erin can introduce herself. Erin is Joe's cousin, but Erin, Erin traveled from Ottawa to be with us today.
Yeah,
Thank you, Erin.
Thanks for having me here.
And you're here for a couple of reasons today, because we're here to talk about your 4 kids.
I have 4 kids. Yeah.
4 kids. And also what you're doing too, because you're working on some fundraising. You're working on your own journey with, as a small businesswoman. So I'm excited to hear about it. But you guys were already chatting, and I was like, save it for the podcast. So I think,
I'm just
There's
really
lots to chat about.
just want to know it all.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So I think if we start to Madalena was your first.
Yes.
And she was December 2017?
No, she was January 4th, 2017 she was born.
Okay.
Yeah, same day as Caitlin.
I'm getting
my
Gwen's
cousin.
birthday and Eric's.
That's
birthday.
okay.
Yes.
I was like, this is very close.
Her cousin.
So why is, tell us, fill us in on your first.
On my first.
Yeah.
The birth story.
What was your pregnancy
Okay.
like? Was it
Yes,
like a good
fill us
pregnancy?
all in.
I had a relatively easy pregnancy. I was back and forth from Texas and Canada.
Right.
So my partner lived in Texas and I was living there. And then I came home for Christmas and went into preterm labor on January 3rd, I guess it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank gosh you're home.
Yeah. Thank God I was in
Texas.
Canada.
Did
Wonder
you
what that
plan
bill
to have
would
the
have
baby
been.
in Texas?
No, we were planning on coming home in February. She was due February 14th.
Okay.
But we decided, I wasn't feeling well, and a lot of people had the flu at the time.
Yep.
So I started kind of feeling ill that day when Lewis was actually, it's so funny. So we saw my midwife that morning on January 3rd.
That's what happened with you.
I see my OB the same day I gave.
That's
when I
right.
went into labor.
I got goosebumps when I watched the podcast when you were talking about that. Yeah.
So you seen your midwife.
I saw my midwife in the morning, and she said, okay, next appointment, we're going to talk about birth plan. And I was like, birth plan? Okay. And then Lewis had to go back to Texas and go back to school and work. And
this is your partner.
My partner. Yep. So he got in his truck and he drove to Texas, and he made it to, I think, Ohio when I was like, I'm having a baby.
Oh, wow.
You're like, turn around.
Was he back in time?
No, he missed
my
Madalena's birth.
God.
Yeah, so I went into a spontaneous vaginal birth. Wow. So what happened was everyone in our family was sick with the flu in Ottawa. Come back down. I thought I had the flu. I could feel something when I was like very sick. Something changed.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Mom, I think I should go up to the Napanee hospital and just have them, look
Check
at the
everything out.
heartbeat and just have a look over.
A peace of mind.
Good for you for having
too.
that initiative and intuition, I guess.
And then my mom, of course, bless her heart, she's like, oh, you're fine. It's just the flu. Denial, right?
This isn't happening.
Yeah. So we ended up going into Napanee, and I turned out to be 3 centimeters dilated.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and everything
Same as me. Ours, this is so weird.
it was just so fast.
So fast. Did your water break at all?
It did, but I was sleeping.
Okay.
And I thought I had the flu, right? So I thought I just peed the bed because I was super large, and I might have had a little gestational diabetes, maybe borderline something going on there. But of course, they didn't tell me anything.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just a mystery. Anyways, so we go to the Napanee hospital, and then the doctor that was on that night was like, call your midwife. So I called my midwife, and she's like, well, I'm actually in labor and delivery. I just delivered 2 babies tonight. So get here.
Get in here.
And she didn't believe that I was actively in labor.
Yeah.
So I had time, and the doctor in Napanee was like, yeah, just go home, get your bag, drive to Kingston, nonchalant. And when I got to Kingston, I was 10 centimeters dilated.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so my mom drove me back home to their house. And then my dad drove us to Kingston. Had to wake my dad up at like 3 a.m.
Oh, I bet Scott was so excited.
Yeah. And the drive there was awful.
We're at the
I'm in
place where you were
active labor.
feeling everything.
Yeah, and sick with the flu.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And just a mess. I was a mess.
Yes.
I listen back to stories
kidding.
about when people are in labor, though, and maybe it's just me, but when I think about like labor pains and like how it's feeling, I'm like, well, I don't remember it being like, right? You remember it like not even anything. I feel like that's like your body like conditioning yourself to like want more kids.
Because I still remember like that feeling, that pressure, and I'm like, just get it out.
Yes.
I had a really good
shock. Like
I was in the middle of the night when I went in.
You had wonderful labors, I feel like.
Not really with Luke.
Didn't you drive yourself?
Both times I drove myself.
Joe.
Because the one night it was Joe's aunt is Francie's
her birthday party.
It was her birthday or their anniversary something, and I just knew, and I was babysitting Eric, and I was like, I just knew, because and we made like a running joke, like, this is the night that I'm gonna go into labor. And so he got home I think around like midnight, and at like 2:30 I was like, I need to go to the hospital, like I'm in labor right now, because my water broke with Luke. But then I never like progressed, so I was induced with Luke. But
it's so weird your first one too, because again I feel like so many people talk about birth plans and textbook birth, and like what the hell is that? But but like I truly believe for myself, I was walking around, I don't know, like before I went into labor, but I think if I knew more about it, I probably would have addressed it sooner. You would think my OB would have known it too, but I had sciatic nerve. So, but now that I look back at it, I'm like, a lot of things add up that, you know, I think we could have caught if I was more, if you would have known and more knowledgeable, right?
I think it's like one or the other though. Like sometimes people are like, they know that they're going to go into labor, or there's these signs, and people are either really calm about it, because there's a lot of moms that I've talked to lately that like, they say like wait as long as you can before you go to the hospital. Yeah, and to me, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, who knows what could happen?
Yeah, it could happen so fast.
So I'm like get to the hospital. So yeah, I've been hearing that a lot. But no, with Owen, I didn't know I was in labor, because like I think I was in preterm labor for like at least 3 days.
Which is common.
Well, and it just wasn't my experience before, because I had been contracting, but they never got regulated. Like they would be 4 minutes apart, and then it would be 7 minutes apart, and then it would kind of like fizzle out. And then I was on the phone with Joe, and he was like, you just like need to go to the hospital. Because at that point I was 40 and 2, or like 39 and 4, 39 and 6, like something around there. And I went in, and I was like, I think I'm in labor. And they were like, okay, like just wait in the waiting room. They had me wait in the waiting room, and I was like, okay.
This is also COVID.
Yeah, this is also pandemic. So mine was pre-pandemic. Yeah. So like, I don't know how women birth with a mask on and without a support partner. Like,
they let me take my mask off.
Tip my hat to all of the moms that did that, because
it was great. I loved it, because I was only like, with Luke, there was 11 people, because he had meconium in my water. So we had 11 people. We had I think 3 or 4 from NICU. We had the resident, we had a junior resident, we had all the nursing team. And
that's another thing about KGH, right? It's a teaching hospital.
The 3 staff. So there was so many teams. 11 people. But then with Owen, there was 3 or 4 with Joe. So that was really nice. But yeah, I went in, and they were like, okay, you're 6 centimeters. And I was like, okay, good. I was like, I say now, I'm like, oh, I probably could have not got an epidural, but I liked the epidural, so I'm an advocate for epidurals.
Might as well feel great when you're birthday.
They were. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it very much. But anyways, okay, so you, Madalena, you gave birth. You were on your way to the hospital in Kingston. Scotty was driving.
Yeah, my mom and dad were definitely fighting. My mom was telling my dad to slow down. My dad would turn to her and be like, do you hear your daughter right now?
Yeah.
Like,
we have somewhere to be.
There's a baby coming out of her. We got to get there. It was hilarious, though. Like, it's quite a birth story.
So you continue.
So we pull up, and there happened to be a wheelchair sitting at the door. So it was meant to be.
You're like, holy cow.
Wheel me up. Lisa wheeled me up to labor and delivery, and my midwife looked at me, and she's like, I don't believe that you're 4 centimeters dilated. Like, I don't. By looking at you, you look like you're fine.
Wow.
I don't feel fine.
And I was like, okay, cool. So she's like, I'm going to examine you. I was 10 centimeters dilated. She's like, Mom, grab her stuff. We're going.
Wow.
So I sat on the potty. I, had a little tinkle. And that was like, do you feel like you need to poop? And I was like, yeah.
That is that worst feeling. Like, the pressure. Like,
the pressure.
It was the pressure.
And with your first, you're just like, I just got to.
I poop.
Yeah.
I remember them like, okay, well, you go ahead and poop. I go, I'm not fucking taking a shit on this damn table right now.
Yeah.
Like, I need to poop. And they're like, no, this is a baby.
Yeah. And it's things they don't tell you about. So we're telling you.
And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm walking around naked. Like, I'm 20 and a half weeks pregnant. At this point, I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
I was like
premature.
throwing up.
Yeah.
And
throwing up. You're
time.
in shock. Like,
she was 34 weeks.
34
exactly.
weeks. Okay, on the dot.
So because of that, my midwife didn't have to send me over to high risk.
Okay.
Because I was over 34.
Okay.
So she delivered
just
my baby.
Over though.
And she was great. She got really mad at the doctor. Like, she advocated that I write a letter to the doctor at Napanee for sending me without ambulance.
Because this is how fast.
Because she could have been born on the side of the road. If it was 4 degrees colder and icy, like...
Yeah.
She would have been born on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So we get to KGH at, we'll say, 4 o'clock. And Mina was born at 4:19. I pushed twice. And
this sounds so much like my birth story, too, right? Like,
it's wild, eh?
And then out.
Literally.
Wow. Holy.
And my mom caught her and snipped, the cord. So it was really a beautiful...
Yeah.
And so my midwife was kind of prepping me, saying there will be a NICU team in the delivery.
Yes.
It can get very emotional.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
Busy and hectic.
Yeah, and it can be scary, right? Mm-hmm. It's very high stress. Just be prepared. It was not like that at all.
Wow.
And afterwards, after they weighed her and took her to the NICU, the nurses and the team were so amazing. Mm-hmm. They looked at us and they said to my mom, they're like, this was the most beautiful birth we have ever witnessed.
Oh, I love that.
Because it's usually so high stress and just...
Get the baby down, get like examined. Get
and especially because you don't know how...
usually stresses and panics.
Oh, yeah.
And
because you're so in shock at that time, too. So when someone comes in and says, this is how it may be or may not be, like... You're already in a scary position.
And the fact that you were able to like vaginally deliver.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what adds to a lot of the stress. If I was to guess, that's what adds to a lot of the stress is like just the urgency to like get baby out
safely. Yeah.
How much did she weigh?
She was a 5-pounder.
Wow. Good for her.
So she did lose some fluids, obviously. She lost some weight in the first couple of days. So she was just a grower and feeder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she was in the NICU for a little bit.
She was in the NICU for, I think she did a 7-day NICU stay. And then they moved us up to peds.
Aww.
Because the NICU was so full.
Yeah.
And Alyssa had mentioned that like sometimes it's so busy.
It was so full.
And other times it's very slow.
And I never know, like hour by hour.
Can change hour by hour. And I know being in for as long as I was, you would, I mean, even probably as long as you were, you would see that trend, there'd be like 5 babies a minute in one day.
How
and then
often,
the others were very quiet.
Were you in NICU?
For a week?
I think a week and then a week in peds.
Okay, so 2 weeks you were in the hospital.
2 weeks. The baby was
Was Eric? Was Eric there with you, like in peds?
Yeah, so my cousin Kate.
Yeah. My sister-in-law.
Yes, Kate's sister-in-law.
My nephew.
So fam today.
Eric was born 1 week prior.
Yes, okay.
1 week to the day. Plus, Madalena was born on Caitlin's birthday.
Yes, Caitlin's birthday.
So I texted Kate on January 4th in the morning at like 6 a.m. and I said, what time are you going to the NICU today? And she said... oh, I don't know. And she told me a time. And I said, okay, well, I'll be around. I'll come and visit. Mm-hmm. And then I sent her a picture of me holding my baby. And she's like,
see you when you get here.
Yeah, she's like, why is Erin holding Eric? This is so weird. So
like, not Eric.
Like, it was just so, it was like.
Just crazy. And also, too, it was probably so nice because you and Kate
yeah.
so close.
We're
grew up so close as family. And have that connection, and then to be having that experience together in the hospital is crazy.
Did you feel like a little bit more content having Kate there, or having Kate being in this prior position?
Yeah, so I was actually visiting them like 4 days before I was admitted.
Wow. So you already like had a glimpse.
I had a glimpse. Yeah, I had been in the NICU. I knew from Kate's experiences, so there was a little bit of comfort in that. Like I didn't feel alone. Your first baby, it doesn't matter if they're healthy or in the NICU or you're scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're doing.
No,
yeah,
not
at
know
all.
what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So it was nice to know that I had
someone understanding what you're going
Yeah.
through. And so
yeah.
everything was okay. She was healthy at that point. It was just about her spending some time being monitored, gaining weight.
Growing.
Yeah, she had jaundice and had the light on.
I feel like every baby has jaundice.
Yeah.
Both of the boys had like high bilirubin levels. Both of them had to go back for checks. I think like Marley did too. Like I feel
Marley
like
did
every
too,
baby that I hear of, like I don't think I hear a story that like they don't have a little bit of jaundice at birth.
It's whether they can
That's
manage
true.
it or not.
Yeah, if they need to have intervention. But so she was all good. She was all healthy, and you had this lovely time with Mina. And then how long was it before you found out you were pregnant again?
Yeah, tell us about the next pregnancy. I'm really
So Mina
intrigued.
and I, we stayed here for 4 months. I needed some help with my mom.
Yeah.
My mom is here. So we lived with Lisa and Scott for about 4 months. And then we decided to pack up my tiny little car and move to Texas.
Yay.
Full time. So we actually took a vacation to Florida on our way to Texas, which was really nice. It's like a new family and stuff. But she did have a few issues. So she has an umbilical hernia that she's had since, which is really common in preemies.
Very common.
Yeah, like all my sons have it.
Yeah.
So that's being watched. She's going to have a surgery probably this year.
Yeah.
We're waiting for that. But luckily, we're super grateful that that was pretty much her extent of it.
The extent,
of being
yeah.
a preemie.
Yeah.
And so we moved down to Houston, Texas, and it was her 1-year birthday party. I think that night was the conception. And I was, she was 13 months.
Everyone was having a party.
Yeah.
Everyone was partying. Everyone was celebrating.
Yeah,
The
she
mood was set.
Yeah, she was around 13 months when I found out I was pregnant again. Yeah,
Again.
with what I thought was my second.
So enlighten us.
Surprise!
As you can imagine, the political climate down south was not my jam.
Yeah.
And having a second child really made me miss home. Mm-hmm, and
absolutely.
I honestly, I decided to leave Texas because I didn't want my children to think that active shooter drills were normal.
Yeah.
And we're Canadians, so we have that ability to protect them from those things,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
So we moved home. Also glad we moved home because of the healthcare.
Yes.
Yes.
With triplets. So
Da-na-na-na. Say it again. The
cha-ching.
triplets. Wow.
Surprise.
So talk to me about when you found out.
Tamara was speechless for a second.
That you
Funny.
had
So
triplets.
when I found out, we went to my first ultrasound. We were in Ottawa that day. We came back to Kingston because that's what I knew. My midwives were
you
going to follow
comfortable.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the same midwife from before?
Yep.
Amazing.
They were following me.
Amazing.
I saw them the day before my ultrasound, and her name's Alyssa. She was doing the Doppler thing, trying to figure out the dating, right? And she's like, I can't find the heartbeat. And so, of course, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Loss. I've experienced loss before, and that's
Yeah.
the first thing that you
Your head
think,
goes
right?
to, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, no. And she finally found it, and she said, Erin, it's higher. So I think you're further along than what your dates indicate.
Yeah.
And little did we know. She's like, I'm going to fast track you. We're going to get you into your ultrasound tomorrow. So we go to the ultrasound. The tech's we had our daughter with us who, again, was 15 months old,
Yeah.
running around being a terror. Daddy's
In her
following.
glory.
Yeah, exactly. And Daddy's following her around, picking up the crayons behind her, and eventually
Damage control.
Exactly. And the tech was just like, Daddy, you need to sit down. So we thought he was getting in trouble
Okay.
for bringing her, right?
Yeah.
And she's just like, here's baby's head and baby's bum. And here's your other baby's head and baby's bum. You're having twins.
I have goosebumps.
And you know how you're super full of water?
Yeah.
I had to pee so bad. And I was just like, I look at Lou. We look at each other and we're like, are you sure there's no more in there? And she's like, I stopped looking after two. Should I? She's like, I should look. And we're like, and she moved her wand
You're like, yeah, you should probably.
Because we could see the two, and then she moved it, and we're like, oh my.
Okay, but we were just kidding. We were just kidding about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, if you hadn't have said that, like,
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it was.
So we actually started as quads, but one of them wasn't viable at that point.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So my body like eventually expelled that. But yeah, she's like, you're having triplets.
Holy.
And she said, based on what we're seeing, there's one placenta. So one placenta indicates they're identical.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I learned so much biology throughout this pregnancy.
No kidding. I'm so intrigued right now.
Triplet.
How many weeks were you? Sorry, at this point?
If you would have been at...
Actually around this time of year, I think I was 13 weeks
Yeah,
along
if I was to guess. Yeah,
when I found out.
That's crazy to me. I know. I feel like we're just being told that news right now. It's like, what would you do? And at this point, too, it wasn't really just triplets because you also had Mina. So
A toddler.
yeah.
little.
So like easily like 4 under 2.5.
So when did you, how was it digesting that? Like exciting, like, oh my goodness.
4
But
under
like,
2.
We just went hysterical in the moment.
Yeah.
Like I was laughing, crying,
like,
laughing,
this
crying.
isn't happening.
Yeah. Like it's almost like, you know, whoever is in charge here was like, here you go, multitasker.
Oh my
Yeah.
Like
literally.
show us your stuff, you know?
What was your team? What was the team like? Was like there a lot of excitement in the hospital for you?
There was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my midwife called me the next day and said, holy crap, I did not.
You're like famous.
And she said, you know how I said I couldn't find the heartbeat? I thought maybe multiples, but I wasn't thinking like high order multiples.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was pretty wild.
So tell us how this pregnancy differed from your first one because there was multiple babies.
Yeah, so I wasn't
You were
really
obviously
showing.
high risk immediately, right?
I was after they found out 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought the midwife would have to hand me over just based on my vaginal spontaneous first birth.
Yeah.
Right? She wasn't sure. She said, we'll see how the scan goes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll play it by ear. And of course, she's like, I have to hand you over to high risk.
Yeah.
Obstetrician. And I think it was Dr. Smith.
Okay. I don't know.
I had Dr. Nee, so did Tamara.
I think his name
Did
is.
I? I don't remember much.
Yeah.
The
in
thing
those
is
days.
with KGH, it's also a teaching hospital. So
Yep.
you
Yeah.
deal with
There's
more
a
of
lot
the
of
residents,
cases.
right?
Dr. Nee didn't deliver either of my babies.
Yeah, my high risk doctor didn't deliver mine either.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I found out at my ultrasound, my Aunt Holly, your mother-in-law, I ran into her after the ultrasound. So she's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, nothing.
Because she was
Nothing
going
at
through
all.
her ultrasound stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she probably knew there was a baby coming or something.
going on. Yeah. Something. Oh, she knows everything. You
So-
cannot hide anything from her. She's so
No.
intuitive too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you had to go to a high risk doctor, and did they follow you more closely? Did they do more scans more often?
Yeah, so they didn't actually see me until 19 weeks.
Okay.
So I think I was 13 weeks.
Yeah.
So I had 6 weeks of just
Panic,
Like, in
waiting,
your mind.
what's going on.
Yeah, because my midwife was like, this is the difference between midwives and doctors. Midwives are informed based
Yes.
learning, right? Like
Yes.
they give you all the information and you make an informed decision.
Yes.
Right? Whereas doctors, I think, hide a lot because they don't want to stress you out.
Yes.
If
And
that
they
makes sense.
kind of
That's my
save
experience.
it.
It's
but
like
some
as
people
it
want to
comes.
know, and it's
Yes.
As
That's
it
my
comes.
experience
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So she was just like, you could leave the hospital with 1 baby.
Yeah.
You could leave the hospital with 2.
Yeah.
You could leave with 3 or you could leave with none.
Yeah.
Like the chances are of these all 4 or 3 coming back with you are really low.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's hard in itself.
that's so stressful.
Yeah.
To like be going through the dishes are done, so that's good. But to be going through like a pregnancy too, and like what your body goes through, what you go through emotionally, to know that
Were you extra sick? Were you extra
Yes.
tired? Were you extra? Because I hear like
Yeah.
if you have twins, you're like double the.
Yeah.
Symptoms.
But also
But
like I
also-
had a baby, so I didn't
Yeah.
really
you were tired, run down, and you were traveling.
and I was traveling and I didn't have support in Houston. It was just me and my husband, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really think too much about it.
Yeah.
But I was very sick. I thought I had the flu again. And I was just like, I was
darn
just getting
flu.
super pregnant, like,
Yeah.
So I know, Joey, we should post a photo in this YouTube podcast. Yeah, he's shaking his head. Of your belly, because
you were so big
the other day, and this big old belly. Like, how big did that belly circumference get?
I'm not really sure.
But it was like this, guys.
Yeah, you're like, I'm
at
just
the
like
end,
not that big.
Yeah, it was wild. At the end,
were you bedridden?
No, my doctor didn't believe in bed rest. But also, I'm a small person.
You are very big.
Like, I have a tiny stretch.
Like,
I'm 5 foot nothing. Like,
yes.
So I had to eat like 3,000 extra calories, especially in the beginning. So that was my biggest challenge, was making sure I was getting all the dietary nutrition for the babies, right?
Yeah.
Because it could easily be taken away from you too. If
And
you
it
don't.
was.
And it was probably being drained. Yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
Wow. So pregnancy, how did you find it with them? Like, you were sick in the beginning? Like,
Sick in the beginning. Then I was great. I had a great first trimester.
So as soon as you get into the second, I feel like it's better.
Yeah.
Opposite
The
for
second
you?
was good, but then the end of the second going into the third was really uncomfortable. Like,
Yeah,
I
of
could
course.
hardly move. I could hardly sleep. I could hardly breathe.
Just having like
A lot of
also
action.
anxiety.
Like, they're boys too, right? So I don't know if that matters, but they were like constantly moving
Yeah.
and like kicking and just.
I love that. That was my favorite part of being pregnant.
It is such a cool feeling.
Of feeling that.
yeah. That's something I never really had much of with Gwen, but like, that's something that I really look forward to with my next pregnancy, is that
The activeness.
rolling around and like
Feeling them kick
Feeling
and
and-
feeling them move and seeing your belly move.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so you had moved back at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. So you moved back, and I know that we had a fundraiser.
We did.
For you. Do you want to chat about that, and then what kind of led from that?
Yeah. So when we were in Texas, we actually had a really bad experience with one of our employees ripping us off. So we came back and literally like didn't have much.
Yeah.
So we changed countries, changed houses, and plus our business, like, anyway. It was stressful. We were worried about how are we going to pay for these children.
Yeah.
You know, like we had all of Madalena's cribs and sheets and stuff.
Yeah.
But the boys all needed a crib. They all needed sheets.
Yeah.
They all
It wasn't
needed
hand-me-down.
Even if you're in a good spot, that's so daunting.
We
like,
need 3 of these.
even me, I just had to
each.
get the boys big kid beds because like Luke had been out of his crib for a long time and Owen just got out of his, and like it was $1,000 for me to get them bed frames and mattresses and sheets and like for 2, you know, and you've got 4.
Yeah.
Plus all the other things like diapers and
So yeah,
and also going through the move and all those other things. So we had a lovely fundraiser.
we did.
Yep,
And,
I remember.
my family did a backyard barbecue benefit.
Yep.
And it was delicious food.
Yep. Yeah, I had
There was
fun.
great entertainment,
Dancing.
games, dancing. Just a really great vibe.
Yep. I remember what I wore,
And such a great community.
which is crazy. It was
I don't even remember what I wore.
Yeah.
What did you wear?
I had my hair braided and I had like a backwards cap and then I had like
I remember.
Yes. I had like a floral kind of printed t-shirt.
Yes, you did. Because wasn't it what Hawaii or what was it kind
Yeah,
of
it was
themed?
like I don't know. It was like I was barbecue theme. I feel like there was like
there was a
in
theme.
June, right?
It was like a tiki theme. or
I do
something.
remember. Yeah, it was fun though. And how far along were you then?
I think I was around 20.
Ish. Yeah.
20,
Wow.
21, 22-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all a blur.
Yeah.
So before it's a blur.
Right.
Before you get to like what you are doing now, though, I'm curious on how this freaking labor went. Like, please enlighten me there, because
Yeah, so that's actually, I was just talking to my mom about this morning. Like, we are amazing as humans. Like, because every birth story is different. Every delivery is different.
us women are amazing.
Exactly. Women are amazing. Our bodies are truly like incredible.
Joe's rolling his eyes right now.
Joey.
He probably expected this, me coming here.
No credit ever. No credit for women ever.
Yeah, so I had a C-section.
Yeah, no kidding.
Scheduled
That was
C-section?
probably like that was a
So
definite. Or,
well, it was.
Yes.
So my obstetrician was like, I would let you go vaginal or natural, or if your body does that, I would totally see how it goes.
it's your body. Yeah, absolutely.
play it out,
That's nice giving,
which I
having
was
the
open
option.
to.
Yep.
But he said the team
Didn't feel comfortable.
probably won't.
Yeah.
They'll probably want to do like
Just more
path of least
controlled,
resistance,
safer.
Yeah, which is totally fair and understandable. But what happened with me was at my 34-week appointment,
which is crazy that you
even made it that long.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and this is a thing, right? They give you different due dates. Different literature just says different things. My doctor was just like, let's just see how this goes, right? Which I was totally down with.
Yeah.
He didn't want to stress me out.
Yeah.
Which was nice. But again, like, I wish I knew things earlier.
Yeah.
So with identicals, there is a thing called twin-to-twin transfusion. So what happens is they're sharing blood and nutrients through the placenta.
Okay.
Because there's one placenta, 3 inserts at this point, right? So they did all have their own sacs. It was really cool, the placenta. Like, I asked to see it afterwards.
Kidding.
Because it was
kidding.
massive. Like, it was the size of the bedpan. Like, it was it was huge. I forget how much it weighed, but yeah, it was quite an experience.
And so
they had twin-to-twin transfusion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And so the care that I had, I saw the OB at 20 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I saw him every other week. And it was bedside.
Okay.
With formal ultrasounds, I think, every 3 weeks.
Yeah. So they were pretty close. You're being followed pretty closely.
And what, like, the anatomy scan was like a 3-hour appointment.
Wow.
Yeah. So they had twin-to-twin transfusion. At 34 weeks, they were pretty concerned about it. Yeah. They said, your donor baby isn't really growing that much.
Okay.
He's kind of fallen off the growth chart. And then your recipient is getting big, 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 big. Yeah. So they were scared that their hearts would give out.
Okay.
So it was time to have babies.
Because they were getting so big? Or
because big baby was getting so big, and then little baby would just, his heart would have quit. You know?
Yeah.
So I was scheduled at 34 and 4.
To go in for the C-section.
I think it was 34 and 4 or 5. I don't know.
But good that they caught that, and we're on top of that to be able to.
Yeah, that's why they monitored. I think I was monitored once a week
at that point. Yeah,
from like 28 weeks,
probably because once a week. Because even for me, at like the end of my pregnancy, with my blood pressure, I was monitored once a week. Yeah. And like I was not high risk, So I'm sure you were probably at least.
The worst part of like going to the appointments though is the parking, and I had to walk so far that pregnant. Because I didn't have anyone to take me at the...
Yeah.
It was awful.
Aww.
So...
Should have called Joe.
Yeah. That's something that needs to be addressed. Noted.
A pregnancy drop-off spot.
Yeah. But no, very true. Because, you're so uncomfortable at that point. And you have regular appointments. And just getting there is stressful enough with a toddler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And...
so you had your scheduled C-section?
Yeah, you had your C-section.
Yeah, I went in first thing in the morning. I had a student nurse.
How long did it take?
Probably quicker than you think.
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Yeah.
So for me, I had a lot of trauma around it.
Okay.
And I didn't really start healing that trauma until quite recently.
Yes. So it never really goes away. It just
doesn't. There. And it's, it was a lot.
Yeah. I read something the other day that it's not necessarily the trauma like that happens outside of us. It's what's instilled from that, like outside trauma instilled in us. Right. And it really doesn't go away. So it would be very scary because like your midwife said, you could leave even with 3, 2, 1, or maybe not any of them. Yeah. And even losing one of them would be upsetting
and difficult.
And I find with higher order multiple births, you never really grieve a loss because a lot of perspective around it is, well, you still have, like I lost one, but I still had 3.
Yeah. But why couldn't I make that one,
So I don't think
you still have, do you feel like you have, is that what you're grieving now when you say that you have trauma about it? Or do you feel like you've grieved that?
I think the trauma was surrounding like my actual body, the trauma it went through. Right. And then just like the flight or fight responses that I had being in these situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And the wanting to avoidance or convincing yourself, like, things are just going to happen. So I'm just going to
we can definitely like talk about this more too, but I definitely like just obviously like being family and connecting with you on social media. Like I definitely feel like I've seen you be on a journey into yourself since you've had the kids, and just finding your way and just like what you're embracing and who you are and who you're projecting. Like I feel like that's really like, even if this is who you are right now, if this is who you feel is your genuine self, or maybe not, maybe you're still working on yourself, but I feel like I just have seen you like come into like this, like evolved into this person also that's separate from being a mom.
Yes.
Right.
I need that.
And it's so important because like up until recently, it's been very much mom mode, right? Like triple mom mode, quad mom mode. Like, I've not had a minute until about a year ago. Yeah. So about a year ago, I made a conscious effort. Like, I was me before I was a mom. Yeah. And I know a lot of moms don't identify that way, and that's totally cool. Like, I'm not judging or knocking anyone, but my personal experience is, like, I'm Erin. I'm not just triplet mom. Yeah. You know? And it's important for my children to know that.
100%. Yeah.
That I'm a person.
Yeah. I feel that now more after that. I'm like, before I was like just content with like being a homebody and not doing anything. And now I feel like I'm breaking out of my shell and like wanting to have more experiences and doing things too, because I want the kids to have the experiences, and that's like taken me out of my shell.
That's one thing as a business mom, eh?
Yeah.
It's nice to show them.
Yeah.
I have this mantra right now, and it's lead by example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, cliche, be the change you want to see, you know? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, because that's our future, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So lots of trauma that kind of, like, I guess, how many people were in that room? There was a lot.
Yeah. Like, so I went in, and a student nurse put in my IV.
Yes.
And she missed twice. That's how I started the morning.
Oh, no.
And then the nurse that was with her, like her overseeing nurse, was amazing. I will say this, I forget her name. I love you. You saved my life.
Oh.
No, she did. Like, and she took care of me after I gave birth. Aww. But yeah, so I went into the room at, like, we'll say 9 o'clock in the morning. I had a team for drugs. Mm-hmm. What do they call it? Anesthesiologists. Yeah, I had a team of that. Yep. And then each baby had a team.
Wow.
Yeah, they would have to, I guess.
Yeah. And the resident who did my delivery was amazing. Oh, she was
incredible. I love that hospital.
And she was so intrigued and interested in learning.
Yes, because this doesn't happen.
Makes a difference.
Right? Yeah.
Makes a difference. Tamara's actually was supposed to have this on Friday, but she has to reschedule. But talking to med students about like...
Yeah. Well, actually, it happened. So my presentation was shown.
Oh, good.
Unfortunately, because it wasn't for reschedule. But I know for future...
But yeah, I was able to share like that experience.
Yeah, still share that same platform.
And how it matters, right? That care that you get.
It was all about like ethics and not just, ethics being made as like a medical standpoint, but also considering ethics and decision making for parents. And, I know for myself, it was a consent form and you need to sign or your daughter's not going to live past 19 hours. Whereas a lot of other parents, they like to consider the pros and cons or going back to the BRAIN acronym. Mm-hmm. What are the benefits? What if I wait? What is my intuition saying? So it's really nice to have these opportunities to know that med students or, doctors nowadays are, and even then, I think it got lost for a little bit, but I see it coming back more now that, okay, we need to, people. Yeah. People.
Patient care.
Patient care, people first, like, bedside manners, honest transparency, right? Because yes, they don't want to stress us out, but I feel like if you have some idea of what's happening, you can kind of mentally prepare yourself.
It's like the midlife experience, happen, right? Being prepared to making informed decisions.
Yeah, informed decisions, and I think that for me, I would appreciate that, and I know a lot of other medical moms would too. Like her forming you, this could happen. Just be prepared, and if it doesn't, amazing, right?
Okay, so that's crazy to me that each kid had a team.
Their own team, but
each of the boys had a team, and Lewis was there.
Lewis was there this time.
And so...
he filmed it too, actually.
We won't edit that in this, maybe, but I would love to maybe see
I would love to see that. I'd be so like...
we'll schedule that for sure next time you're down. That'll be fun. We'll get some popcorn.
I just said give me popcorn. Let me get rid of it.
But, so when the babies were born, what was their health like? 3 boys. 3 identical boys.
3 identical boys, all different sizes.
And all different personalities.
So big baby is what we called Scotty. Big baby. He was baby C.
Yeah.
He was up on he was the penthouse suite. That's why he was
so funny. The biggest, and pushing everyone down.
Yeah. He was like 5 pounds.
Oh my God. That's crazy
like
to me.
412, I think, or 413.
So almost, yeah.
He was almost 5 pounds. And then middle baby, Mr. Mario, was, I think, 4 pounds.
That's good for,
He was over 4 pounds. He was like 4 pounds, 6 ounces. And then little baby was 3.5 pounds.
But still great sizes.
Great sizes.
For
triplets. Yeah, they were good sizes.
So obviously were they taken right away to the NICU kind of thing to be put under observation?
Yeah. Did you get to hold them immediately or probably not, eh? Yeah.
No. So what happened during my delivery, I started getting feeling back. So there were a few complications.
My God.
They didn't come out as easily as they thought they would.
Right.
So
those boys were comfy. They were didn't want about mama.
And also, like, I wasn't hooked up to monitors. They couldn't really tell where they were.
Where everything was. Yeah.
So what happened was in multiple births, they have baby A. So they're placed or called baby A, B, and C based on where they're placed.
Yeah. I wonder if I was baby A or baby B.
Okay. I don't know.
I wonder. I'll have to ask my mom.
You being a twin, were you A or B?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll find out.
So baby A, what happened was baby B actually threw himself on baby A during the cutting.
Darn it.
Okay.
And then so baby A kept going down. He like wanted to exit or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they got baby B out first.
Yes.
And then they had to get Otto out, and they had a hard time because he was trying to escape down my birth canal.
Wow.
Yes.
And
that does happen.
Like, I
when
just
Taylor
need to go
came out,
this way.
I came down. I was in my mom's ribcage, and I did a somersault, so I was breech.
Oh, wow.
my God.
That's
Yeah.
fast.
Mm-hmm. Yikes.
That's wild.
Yeah, because they have all this room, and then Otto was taken off.
Yeah, he was taken off. He was like, "Get me out of here."
Yeah, get me the F out of here.
So they were able to obviously get him out safely.
Yeah, they did, and I think there was about 5 minutes between each of them, which is a lot of time.
Is it?
Is it?
So I started losing
blood?
and feeling like I could feel stuff.
As if that's a lot of
give me another
time.
shot.
I know twins sometimes are like 21 minutes apart and stuff like that. But I guess it was vaginal.
But in per circumstance,
delivery.
And then it just depends on like the sacs and the placenta, and it was ginormous as well.
And your body is under a lot of stress, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
At this point,
it was wild. Like I don't know how I came out of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then so I started feeling, and I was also really messed up on drugs.
Yes.
And everyone kept making a joke that there was like the fourth one was coming out, and I'm like, this isn't funny. Like,
this isn't funny.
You're like,
this is really traumatizing. Stop
right
trying
now.
to like,
yeah,
hilarious. This is all for you guys. So they were whisked away.
They were whisked away
to the NICU.
Yep, each team, and so our parents and my aunt and uncle were outside of the labor and delivery where they like wheeled them onto the elevator.
Yeah,
and so they could see them. Being wheeled away. But they would just take them, and as soon as they're born, clean them off, show me them.
Yep.
And then
go on.
So how was their NICU journey?
It was good. It was very challenging, very different than my first.
Oh, yeah.
So I learned I always say, like, I learned to be a mom in the NICU.
Yes.
With Madalena. And it's a good thing because I had no idea what was to come.
Yeah.
I had 4 NICU babies.
Yeah.
And
3 at a time. That's so overwhelming. Like,
in 2 years.
It's such an up and down roller coaster in there. So like, one baby could be doing great, and then the next could be not doing so great.
That's
right.
it.
So like, how do you move?
How was their health though? Like, did they have a lot of complications? Or they were also just monitored?
They did have a lot of complications. It was mostly
just like monitoring, like Madalena.
Breathing support at all.
They were all on room air.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Scotty, actually, I think he might have been intubated. Okay. Yeah.
That's hard itself.
And he was on caffeine, so my big one.
Yeah.
He just needed a little reminder to breathe.
Yeah. Which is a common thing for preemies. A lot of like people that you don't know, caffeine is given to most preemies just to remind them to breathe because essentially they're not supposed to be out of the tummy yet. So give them a little boost.
How long were they in NICU?
15 days.
Okay.
Wow. And like, this is just crazy to me because
it all went like so boom, boom, boom for you.
Yeah,
like, everything
it
was really
did.
quick.
And I produced a lot of milk. So I think that was like, that was easy for me. Mm-hmm. So I think that maybe some people who have a challenge with that, they're in there longer.
Yeah.
But I was very blessed in the breast milk department.
Yeah.
And they obviously caught on if
they
are
did.
feeding and growing, if that's the only issue, right? At that point.
And then they came home, and now you're all of a sudden this family of 6.
Yeah. So how do you tell me how you do it?
I don't know. I don't know. The first, they did come home, but we also had to go back to CHEO a few times.
You would have,
we were admitted a few times.
Yeah.
But we were admitted for like bronchiolitis.
Oh my
goodness. I remember.
Respiratory diseases and stuff, which was scary.
Especially if one gets it, they all get it.
Then they all get it.
Exactly. And I just feel like they were born with boogers.
Yeah.
Like it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
There was no pandemic at the time, but I feel like it was the start of my pandemic.
Yeah.
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 And that
because they were always sick.
Too,
yeah.
for you.
And being preemies, they're more.
And born in August, late August.
And having an older toddler, right? An older sister wanting to
and then
get in there. And
all the people who want to come and hold the babies.
Yeah.
Babies.
So what's it like to have to go to the grocery store?
How do you do it?
Do you take them all? How do you fit groceries in the cart?
Sometimes. Well, we have a minivan.
Yeah.
That I hate. But,
got to make it work.
And so
the boys now they're just
they're 4.5.
I was just gonna say they're gonna be 5 because they're a year older than Luke.
Are they in school?
Yes, I have 4 in kindergarten.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Are they in the same class?
No.
Okay.
So they go to a very big school. There's actually 10 kindergarten classes.
Wow.
Pardon? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. It's wild. So they're all in different classes.
That's
they
probably
all
good for them.
It's good for
Taylor
their individuality.
And I split up too.
Their individuality and probably good for the teachers too, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Because I know when I've worked with siblings in classes, they kind of feed off of each other. So it's nice to have
they split Taylor and I up in kindergarten too. And then I remember one time and I wanted to go home. It was one of my first days and I was upset and I was crying and they were like, do you want me to call your mom or do you want to go see your brother? And I was like, I want to go see my brother. Yeah. And then I went in and Taylor was like, why are you here?
Yeah.
It sounds like Taylor.
I know.
You're like, okay, I'm fine.
Typical Taylor. Yes. So that is crazy. So now that's your life and you're adjusting and you're like in a good place for yourself now that you're taking like a lot of self-care time.
Yeah.
All your babies are doing so well.
I'm also in therapy.
Yeah. How is that going?
Therapy. I just started that about 4 months ago. And yeah, it's pretty much just like parenting therapy. Yeah.
I was going to say, what's your goal with therapy?
Yeah, it's just to help me cope with being a busy parent and just, overcoming the traumas and the generational trauma and just we parent so differently than what our parents parented, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different pressures. There's a lot of different challenges.
Social media.
It's like I feel like the information's always like in your face. Like I look back at like your baby pictures and my baby pictures and we're like sitting at a table with cigarettes. And
I talk to my cousin all the time about this and we're like, can you imagine us doing that with our children? Like,
and so there's like this added pressure though too, right? That it's like, like I hate that almost. Yes. So, you know what I mean? And then I always feel, and I don't know how you feel, and I know you would never feel this way because you were just like always lovely, but I'm always like every day I'm like,
Did you hear that, Joe? I'm always lovely.
She's always lovely. But no, every day I'm like, am I traumatizing them? Like, am I causing them trauma? We're
much more aware now.
Yeah. Like, I'm always constantly thinking, like, am I scarring them?
Our generation was almost on like high alert all the time. And now as our generation, we're learning, but it's okay, I think, for our children to realize, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to these are
be in check.
And
we're learning those things too, though, right? Yeah. So it's like we're teaching our kids to be in check and to be conscious and to be self-aware and to be kind. And these are all things that we didn't.
But it's okay to like feel really mad and not want to be like.
It's like we're learning with the kids.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Right? We're learning with the kids.
Absolutely.
And so I will say that like for me, and I don't know how you feeling, but like I definitely screw up. I make mistakes. I yell. Yeah. I get mad. Yes. I react. And then, but I always address it. Even if I'm like rushed in the morning and like taking the boys in and like Luke doesn't like to go to daycare. So I'm taking them in and he's having a hard time. Then if I go to the car and I don't feel good about it, I'm like so intuitive that I always listen to myself and I like go back in and I rectify and resolve and just like give a hug and we talk about it. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also like, we say sorry to our children.
Yeah. And also it's slowing down too. It's slowing down.
Sorry,
so it's like
I had a
things
moment.
are faster, but we have to take more time to slow down and just be more in touch.
Which is important to recognize.
Yeah.
You have.
I'm glad to know that you're
allowed
doing therapy and things like that.
Yeah,
I need to go.
I think it's really important, and I mean, I am fortunate enough to have that opportunity.
Did you get through therapy with like any funding or like through your doctor? Is that something that you're doing privately?
I do it privately through, I think the company's Alley Therapy.
Yeah. It's expensive.
So this one is a sliding scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's based on what you can afford.
Okay, so that's a resource that we really should put in here, because like we were doing, we were going to counseling and it was $150 a session.
Yeah. You can find sliding scales now.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
To be more accommodating.
I believe there's one in Kingston too. I believe it's Lamplighter. Don't mark me wrong. But, and the thing with our province and what it's going through right now is there's 3 years sometimes a wait for a psychologist. Which is devastating.
It is devastating.
Yeah, I got a call the other day because I had a referral go in like,
did you take it?
December maybe? Yeah, I got a call and they were like, hi, like we're calling from like this social services, and I was like, I'm like, what did I do? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, why are you calling me?
Am I in trouble?
I know, and I'm like, is this about Owen? And they're like, no, it's for you. And I was like, what's it for? And they were like, she goes, all it says here is anxiety. I was like,
that thing. Oh, nailed it.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. I was like, put me in for an appointment, please. So that's like starting for me too. But good for you, and that's amazing. It's good to know because sometimes it's really hard.
Well, motherhood is like,
sometimes you just need an ear outside of your circle that will just listen and be open.
Yeah,
right? I need a therapist, or I need to go to like a tarot card reader. Like one or the other.
Tell me what's going to happen.
Both are therapeutic.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm feeling very spiritual lately.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people will come to me and be like, what is the difference between, therapy and life coaching? Because I would love to get into like life coaching and where, therapy is your past tense. So you're dealing with your past, where life coaching is like planning for your future. What does my future look like? What do I want my future to look like? Right. So I think both of them go really hand in hand well together.
Because you can't move forward unless you're dealing with things.
No. And you have to, you can't fall back.
I want to do business coaching. We could do that together.
You guys. So tell us about your business. Like enlighten us.
So my 5th baby, Nonnas.
Oh, I was like, wait, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, but also
I'm gullible. Everything goes over my head.
My business is my 5th. Technically my 6th or whatever. 5th and 6th. It's like a twin beast,
Yeah, of course.
So what is it called? Because Joe and Katie were arguing about
No, we talked about it this morning.
So it's Nonnas. Nonnas famous pizza.
Nonnas.
Get that,
Nonnas favorite pizza.
Not Nana's. Not Nonna.
Check.
A lot of people say Nonna.
Nonnas.
Okay. So we do-it-yourself pizza kits. That's how we started during the pandemic.
Yes.
So we connect busy humans at the table with our pizza kits, and we also provide an opportunity to give back to community and build impactful communities. So we actually donate 30% of our proceeds to different charities,
local organizations,
hospitals, schools.
Things that have given you so much you're wanting to give back to
them. Exactly. And that's why it started. So we started it as a one-time fundraiser for CHEO, because when the boys were young, we did some time in CHEO.
Yep.
And they were amazing. And they got me through so much, as you guys know.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it was really important for me to give back. And the backyard barbecue. Like community has always been there for me when I needed it.
From the very beginning, right? And it's just random people. Like, these strangers become family.
They do.
They really do.
They really do.
Yeah.
And I remember, so Nonna's, like, we did our one-time fundraiser, and we made, I think it was $1,500 for CHEO. And I was like,
that's incredible.
Great. And then
that's a big chunk of change for like a one-time, first-time fundraiser.
For a small community like that. Yeah. And it just kept growing. So we did a couple in Napanee. We actually fundraised for the NICU at KGH last year.
Right where it all began.
Yeah. We raised $1,500 for the NICU to get their webcams. For the,
So special.
That's
so these
incredible.
webcams allow parents to see their baby when they're actually not at the bedside, which is a very wonderful investment.
Yeah, like a special gift.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I didn't have babies during a pandemic, but apparently you could only have one.
You had a lot of times. So we were just leaving once this came into play, but you were only allotted a certain amount of hours a day with your baby on scheduled appointments, I guess. And it was the worst feeling ever.
I can't imagine.
Oh, I went to them and I was like, this isn't right. Like, we can't have this happen. What about our growers and our feeders? Like, moms are trying to breastfeed so they can get out of here, or bottle fed, and baby only needs to just pick it up, and they can't. It's horrible. Yeah, and I mean, they're and to be fair, like, they're throwing with so many things, right? So what do? But what a wonderful investment for sure to be able to watch your baby and not, that's not just have a little bit of a connection.
Yeah, just check in. and see.
It's different than just phoning.
And just looking at the baby on the monitor and pumping.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it makes a huge difference.
Because pumping is a very psychological thing. And a lot of moms in the NICU will experience, their milk shortage, or will go dry very quickly because they don't have that same psychological attachment, right?
Yeah. Connection. So what's your plan then? Like, what if we kind of think about, like, you've done all these amazing things, you've impacted like our local community here all the way to Ottawa. What is your plan now? So you've got growing kids that are in school, you're in therapy, and you're feeling good and you're content with where you are with yourself. Your business is now growing. What does the future look like for you?
Well, this is the year that I give her. Like,
good for you.
I love CHO.
So 2023 is my year.
Good for you.
It's the year for Nonnas.
Yeah, good for you. Honestly,
thank you.
Very impressive.
Thank you. And I'm just surrounding myself with like good vibes and good energy.
Taking opportunities.
I don't have time for the BS of
bullshit.
Yeah, I have no time or patience with that. So I just connecting with other people, doing a lot of in-person events this summer.
I'm excited. I'm so happy we could connect through that as well.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'm really excited to have you. So Tamara has graciously joined our discussion panel for Girls Night Out.
Yeah.
Yay!
Super excited.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. How exciting.
Yeah, I believe it's in June, so that'll be fun.
Incredible.
Yeah. So this year we're actually fundraising for a community initiative called Yemi's Angels.
Okay.
So my friend Mila, her son was admitted to the PICU at CHO in December during the nurse shortage and the RSV breakout, and he had RSV. And he was intubated, and they had such an impact on Mila's life that she started this community initiative, Yemi's Angels. So her goal is to help the healthcare workers at CHO in the PQ.
Amazing.
Yeah, so whether it be like we do bundles or boxes.
So essentially,
just them recognizing them, right? Like
or
or
get them a new like lounge area where they can just go and relax
to breathe, because it's hard on them too, working in such a up and down environment, a vulnerable
especially
environment,
being around
right?
kids too. Like I watched this I'm really obsessed with medical shows on Netflix right now, and I just finished, like, I loved Lenox Hill on Netflix. And then it follows the same team, but there's more. It's called NYC Emergency. It's a new one on. And so it also follows it's all like New York City. So they have Lenox Hill Hospital, and then they also have Cohen's Children's Hospital. And so they share stories about like these children and their care and their surgeries and all these things. And I love that. But they talk about how dealing with children is so much different. And they, like it takes a certain person to be able to deal with these situations.
Such vulnerable people.
With a child.
And I think it's really important for them to realize that too, because not everyone belongs in children's healthcare either. When I was in the NICU, I had a nurse that made me cry, and it was probably because I was on edge and so emotional, and she was just doing her job.
Why wouldn't you be, though? Why wouldn't you be in that situation? Why wouldn't you, you have to be, you definitely have to have the right character for that situation.
Which runs back to the
and I think those stories, like them sharing the stories, is really important too.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm so impressed. I'm so glad that you made time to join with us today and share your story, and you'll have to keep us posted on like everything, like all your fundraisers. Maybe we can throw in like what's next for you on our screen here to share about like what your next fundraiser, your contact information if people want to set up a fundraiser with you. Are you taking orders for fundraisers right now?
So the way it works in Ottawa is where we're based. That's where our headquarters is. We work out of a commercial kitchen, and on Saturdays I have local pickup, but I offer delivery every day. So right now I'm working with who am I working with? Awesome Ottawa. So they help autistic athletes.
Okay, amazing. I love that. So definitely keep us posted. We'll share it here when this goes up. Joe will put it on the screen.
We're also going to share a picture of those big triplets.
Yes.
Then and now.
in your belly.
The then and now. The in and out pictures.
In and out. I love that. Erin, thank you for making time with us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.